I'm Zach, and this is Challenger Vedic Astrology and Tarot. Welcome to the channel. So, today we're going to be doing a video to see the triple impact happening on Aries and Leo. And this is going to be where you're going to see very big changes in your life. But if you like my videos, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out me in the channel. And if you'd like a Vedic Sidereal birth chart or consultation, personal reading, links to those will be in the description box in the comments below. Okay, so Aries and Leo are receiving the triple impact of Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars, the three slower moving physical planets. And Aries is going to be impacted from February 5th to March 14th. And Leo will be impacted from February 5th to April 22nd. Okay. So, when the slower moving physical planets, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars, influence a particular zodiac sign in your chart, you're going to see the house that sign sits, there will be major changes tied to it. So if it's your 7th house, there will be major changes in relationships and in business, just as an example. But yeah, whenever this triple impact happens, or whenever there's an eclipse, is when you tend to see these big changes in a person's life. But alright, we're going to look at all the zodiac signs. Be sure to check your ascendant, moon, and sun sign, because from those you'll see where these changes are really going to take place for you. And for anybody that's new to my channel, I use Vedic Sidereal Astrology. So if you're, going off of Western Tropical, it's going to be wrong. So, you can either get a Vedic Sidereal birth chart from myself, from my website, or you can use a birth chart calculator, which will be less detailed, but you can find that online. All right, so let's kick this off. Okay, so we're going to kick this off with Aries, as usual. So Aries, for you, Aries and Leo are being impacted. Now, Aries is your ascendant. It's you, your physical body. Jupiter's sitting there. Saturn has a 3rd aspect. And then Mars has its 4th aspect. So, big changes in Aries are definitely being shown here. Now, Aries being your ascendant, your 1st house, that's your, your physical body, it's your life. So definitely you'll see a big change in your health. Because Jupiter's sitting there, this should be for the better for most of you. But also you'll see a change in your attitude, your mood. You'll, see changes in progressing in your life. Like you'll become more solidified in what you want to do in life. Now, for Leo is your 5th house. So 5th house is romance, children, it's fun and games, it's your education, it's politics, it's stock market, speculation, gambling. So, big changes can happen here. You could have children. You could, start a romance. If you already have children, something big could happen in their lives, especially your first child. There could be a change of job during this time because the 5th house is 8th from the 10th house. It's the sudden change of the career. Also, you could gain a lot through, stock market, through gambling. I would say be careful with that. If you do not have, certain placements in your chart, that's not going to happen. So, gamble at your own risk is what I say there. Also, it can be a big change in your education. But alright, so that's what I have for you though, Aries. Taurus. Alright, Taurus. So, we'll start with Aries. Aries is your 12th house. Alright, Jupiter sitting there. Saturn has its 3rd aspect onto your 12th house. And then Mars has a 4th aspect. Alright. So, we definitely see that there's going to be big changes tied to the 12th house. 12th house is foreign travel, foreign people. It's multinational companies. It's investments. It's spirituality. Bed pleasure, whether sex or sleep. It's also losses. It's hospitals, jails, asylums, anywhere you feel isolated. Even monasteries. So, what we see here is there could be a big change in your spiritual beliefs. There can be foreign travels that take place, or, just significant long distance travels. You can make significant investments during this time. You could have significant financial losses during this time. So I would definitely say be careful with that. Your sex life could improve with this. Your sleep could improve with this, especially because Jupiter's sitting there. It's going to over amplify these things, but also Jupiter provides protection. But Jupiter is definitely expanding your losses as well, so definitely be careful with this. Now, for Leo. Leo is your 4th house. Mars has an 8th aspect. Saturn has a 7th aspect. Jupiter has its 5th aspect. Okay. So Leo's also going to receive major changes. And I actually find Jupiter's aspect to be more beneficial than where it sits. So, Leo being your 4th house. 4th house is mother. Home, land, real estate. Anybody who lives in your home. It's vehicles. It's your comfort, your happiness. So, there could be a big change with your mother. With your home. Or, with real estate. You could get a new car. Or, fix a car up. These are the kinds of things that you'll see. But alright. Moving on to Gemini. Alright, Gemini. For you. Aries is what we're going to start with. Aries is your 11th house. So, Jupiter's sitting there. Saturn has its 3rd aspect. And then Mars has its 4th aspect. And Jupiter's expanding the 11th house for you right now because it's sitting there. So 11th house is elder sibling. It's your friends, large organizations, network circles. It's your paternal aunts and uncles. It's financial gain, stock market. It's hopes, wishes, desires. It's also conferences. So there can be big changes in your finances with this transit, for sure. You can gain a significant amount of money, especially with Jupiter expanding this house. There can be big changes with your elder sibling and with your friends. If you're involved in the stock market, you could significantly gain through stock market during this time. If you have those particular yogas in your birth chart. If you don't, I'm not a financial advisor. So, be wary. Do that at your own risk and, discretion. All right. But also you can really accomplish a hope, a wish, a desire during this transit. This is, really supporting that. Okay. Now, sign of Leo is also receiving this triple impact. Jupiter's 5th aspect is there, Saturn's 7th aspect, and then Mars' 8th aspect. So Leo's your 3rd house. 3rd house is younger sibling. It's cousins, neighbors, short distance travel, communication of all kinds, including writing. It's media, internet, your skills, your effort. It's also the 8th from the 8th house, so it's the higher form of transformation, meaning transformation through your self-effort. So all of these areas of life can receive a significant change. So with Aries being affected, being your 11th house, and then Leo also being affected, definitely major changes with your siblings can be there. Whether elder or younger. For Gemini, ascendant, moon, or sun sign right now. There can be big changes with your cousins. You could have neighbors that move, or, new neighbors, or maybe there's just a big change in their life that you notice. You could, get involved in media, or there could be a big change with media for you. You could begin writing a novel. Like, that's something you could see with this. You could learn new skills during this time. The transits are really supporting this. That triple impact brings significant change. There can be big change in your life with this, especially because it's the third house. It's the higher form of change, higher form of the eighth house. Definitely, you could put in a lot of effort in your life that really allows you to accomplish things. Third house is also marketing, so if you're involved in marketing, sales, business, this is also really good. All right, moving on to Cancer. Cancer. All right, let's start with Aries, your 10th house. So, 10th house is being affected by Jupiter, which is sitting there, Saturn's third aspect, and then Mars' fourth aspect. So we see a big change is happening in your 10th house. 10th house is career. It's your status. It's your workplace. It's your managers, your bosses. It's your karmic actions in the world, or that the world notices. So even if you're retired, you'll see you're more active out in the world. Maybe you're spending less time at home. Trying to be more of a benefit to society. Not saying you're mooching off society or anything, but you want to get out there, out in the world. But yeah, if you're not retired, then definitely there can be, big changes in your career. There can be big changes with your managers, your bosses, with your workplace. There can be a big change in status during this transit. You could get a new job. You could get a promotion. These are all things that we see with this. Now, with Leo being affected, Leo's your second house. It's being aspected by Jupiter with its fifth aspect. Saturn's aspecting with its seventh aspect. And then Mars is aspecting with its eighth aspect. So, Leo's your second house of family, earnings, finances, speech. So there can be big changes with your family during this transit. There can be big changes with, how much money you make, how much you're able to save during this time. Or it can go the opposite. Maybe, you lose all your savings. So be very careful. Don't overspend your money, that kind of thing. But with these big changes in your career and these big changes in your earnings, definitely this is going to affect your finances. Especially if, you're still in the workforce. But yeah, so that's you, Cancer. All right, Leo. Leo, Aries is your 9th house. Jupiter's sitting there. Saturn's aspecting with its third aspect. And then Mars is aspecting with its fourth aspect. So, there's going to be big changes in the sign of Aries. Aries is your 9th house. 9th house is your father, your mentors, your teachers, your gurus. It's your higher education, especially, like beyond, a bachelor's degree. It's foreign travel, pilgrimage. It's religion, philosophy, the law. So there can be big changes with your father during this transit. Big changes with your teachers. Big changes in your education. You could definitely, engage in foreign travel or just long distance travel during this time. Also, 9th house is a house of luck. So there can be a big change in your luck. If you've been down in your luck, this can be very good. There can be big changes in your religious and philosophical beliefs. If you're involved in legal matters, this can also be very significant, especially with Mars and Sun being in your 6th house. 6th house is legal disputes. 9th house is the law. So definitely there can be, things involving, legal matters during this time. Now, also, Leo is receiving triple impact. Jupiter's being, aspecting it with its 5th aspect. Saturn's aspecting with its 7th aspect. And then Mars has its 8th aspect. So especially with Mars' 8th aspect, we see a sudden change taking place. But then, even when it moves into Aquarius, it's going to have a 7th aspect. So, there's definitely going to be significant changes with your health, with your physical body. First house represents these things. First house is you. It's, your path through life. So there can be very significant changes with, your physical health, with your body, with your life path. Like what you want to do in life. Like that could significantly change, or you could make significant steps towards that. So that's what we see for you though, Leo. All right. Moving on to Virgo. All right, Virgo. Let me take a drink real quick. Okay. So, we're going to kick this off with Aries. Aries is your 8th house. Jupiter is sitting there. Saturn has its 3rd aspect. Then Mars has its 4th aspect. So, these are bringing significant change to Aries. Aries is your 8th house. 8th house is sudden ups and downs, transformation. It's death. It's the occult. It's research. It's your in-laws. It's joint finances through business, through marriage. Or, even relationships if you're just living with your partner. 8th house is other people's money. It's also a house of sex. So, we see big changes with this house. There can be big changes in your in-laws' lives. There can be big changes in your joint finances. In your business earnings. There can be big changes as well. If you're involved in research, there can be a big breakthrough during this transit. But there can be very sudden events. There can be a big transformation in your life with this transit. If you're involved in the occult, you could, learn significantly more. Or you can, just become better in, whatever occult practices you practice. Hopefully, ones that aren't harmful to others. All right. Now let's talk about Leo. Leo's your 12th house. So, Jupiter's 5th aspect is there. Saturn's 7th aspect. And then Mars has its 8th aspect. So, 12th house is a house of sex. Bed pleasure, whether it's sex or sleep. It's losses. It's jails, hospitals, asylums, monasteries. Anywhere you feel isolated. It's investments. It's spirituality. It's foreign travel. Multinational companies. Foreign people. So, there can be a big change in your spiritual beliefs. Definitely with the 8th house and 12th house being affected. If you're involved in like occult spiritual practices, definitely this is a good time to, practice those. Also, if you want improvements in your sex life, now's the time. So, that could also be there. But there can be a big change with your investments. Maybe you begin investing. Or you could also have significant losses during this time. So, be careful with that. There can also be significant travel to foreign lands. If you're involved in like a multinational company, there can be big changes with it during this time. But yeah, so, that's what we see for you, though, Virgo. All right, Libra. Libra, Aries is your 7th house. Jupiter sitting there. Saturn has its 3rd aspect. And then Mars has its 4th aspect. So there's going to be big changes in your 7th house. 7th house is relationships. It's business partner. It's the masses. It's all the people you meet out in the world. It's 10th from the 10th house, so it's the higher form of your status. It's 4th from the 4th house, so it's also, a house of, home away from home. It could be a new home, a new car, a second car. So these are all things we see with the 7th house. So, there can be a significant change in your relationships during this transit. If you're not in a relationship, you can get into one during this transit. Especially when there's a Venus-Mars conjunction, which is going to be happening again soon. This is also very good for business if you're involved in business. Especially if you're a Libra ascendant. That's quite likely. There could be a big change with your business partner. Maybe a business partner that you've been working with hasn't been working out. Maybe you get a new business partner. Like that kind of thing could be there too. You can have a lot more interaction with other people out in the world. There can be a very big change in your status. Remember, because this is the higher form of your status. Because 10th from the 10th. Also, you could get a new home. You could get a new car. You could move. We also see that. But the biggest thing is relationship and business. There will be significant changes there. Could be for the better, could be for the worse. Alright, now let's talk about Leo. Leo's your 11th house. It's receiving the 5th aspect of Jupiter, the 7th aspect of Saturn, and then the 8th aspect of Mars. So, 11th house is your paternal aunts and uncles. It's your elder sibling. It's your friends. It's large network circles, large organizations, conferences, stock market, financial gain. It's gain of status because it's 2nd from the 10th house. It's your hopes, wishes, and desires. So, there can be a very significant change with your paternal aunts and uncles, with your elder sibling, with your friends. There can be significant financial gain during this transit. With your 7th house and your 11th house being affected, definitely there can be a big change in status too. Big change in status, big change in business and earning through business. Your hopes, wishes, and desires. Some of them could be fulfilled during this transit. The triple impact supports that. But yeah, so that's what I have for you though, Libra. Alright, moving on to Scorpio. Alright, Scorpio. So let's talk about Aries first. So, Jupiter is sitting there. Saturn has its 3rd aspect. And then Mars has its 4th aspect. Aries is your 6th house. So 6th house is your health issues. It's accidents. It's your maternal aunts and uncles. It's your pets. It's your coworkers. It's your everyday work, everyday routines. It's competition. It's service. It's debt. So, there will be big changes in these areas of life. You could, overcome a debt, overcome health issues. You could get a new health issue. Hopefully not, but that could be there. You could get a new pet during this transit, or yeah. Also, there could be, if you're involved in competition, this can be very good for competition. overcoming one's enemies. 6th house is also enemies. There can be a big change with your enemies where you're able to defeat them finally. Hopefully that's the case for y'all. But yeah, definitely there can be a big change with, your health with this as well. Now, 10th house, Leo. So Leo is being significantly impacted as well. It's receiving the 5th aspect of Jupiter, 7th aspect of Saturn, and 8th aspect of Mars. So, Leo is your 10th house. Career, status, your workplace, your managers, your bosses. It's government. Especially national or federal government. So, what we see with this, there can be major changes in your career. Major changes in your status. So, you could get a promotion during this transit. Or you could get a new job. There can be big changes with your managers, your bosses. Or just changes in the workplace in general. Also, if you're already retired, 10th house is also your karmic actions out in the world, or that the world notices. So even if you're retired, you're going to want to get out more in the world. Not spend so much time at home. You're going to want to be seen. You're going to want to do things for others. Alright. But that's what I have for you, Scorpio. Alright, Sagittarius. Alright, Sagittarius. So we're going to start with Aries. Jupiter is sitting here. Saturn has its 3rd aspect. And then Mars has its 4th aspect. And Aries is your 5th house. 5th house is romance, children, fun and games, education, especially college education up to a bachelor's degree. 5th house is also politics, children, in case I forgot to mention those. It's also gambling, stock market, speculative gains through business. So, you're going to see big changes in these areas of life. You could have children at this time if you have been trying to have children. You could have significant changes in your education. Maybe starting new educational course, that kind of thing. If you want to get involved in politics, now could be a good time. You could begin a new romance if you're not in one already. If you already have children, there can be a significant change in their life, especially the first child. And, through gambling, through stock market, there can be significant gain. If you have the specific combinations in your birth chart, which I don't know in a general read like this. So, if you lose money, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't come at me. Alright. Now let's talk about Leo. Leo's your 9th house. Jupiter has its 5th aspect. Saturn has its 7th aspect. And then Mars has its 8th aspect. So, 9th house is your father. It's your teachers, mentors, gurus. It's foreign travel. Well, long distance travel. It doesn't necessarily have to be foreign. Like if you're in the US, it could be from like Washington, D.C. to, I don't know, Mississippi or something. But yeah. Also, it can be pilgrimage. It can be higher education, especially beyond a bachelor's degree. It's religion, philosophy, the law. It's your luck, your fortune. So, there can be major changes with your father, with your teachers, your mentors, big changes in your education. Your religious or philosophical beliefs could change during this time. Or there could be something significant that comes up with them. If you're, religious, you could, be more involved with your church or your temple or, whatever religion you're involved with. There could be significant legal matters that come up. These could be, in your favor or not in your favor. But there can be significant legal matters that are there. You could definitely travel during this transit as well. There can be a big change in your fortune. You could have more luck in life during this transit, especially if you've been down on your luck. All right. Moving on to Capricorn. All right, Capricorn. Starting with Aries. Aries is your 4th house. Jupiter is sitting there. Saturn has its 3rd aspect. And then Mars has its 4th aspect. So, your 4th house is your mother. It's home, land, real estate. It's vehicles. It's the people who live in your home. It's your comfort, your happiness. So there can be big changes with your mother during this transit. Hopefully for the better. There can be big changes in your, getting a home, renovating a home. You could repair a vehicle or get a new one. There can be a big change in, your sense of comfort. Hopefully for the better. Now let's talk about Leo. So Leo's your 8th house. Jupiter has its 5th aspect. Saturn has its 7th aspect. And then Mars has its 8th aspect. So, Leo's your 8th house. 8th house is your in-laws. It's joint finances and relationships and business. It's your business earnings. It's other people's money. It's your taxes. It's research. It's the occult. It's sex. It's sign-ups and downs and transformation. So, there can be a big change with your in-laws. If you're married or if you're, living with a sexual partner. Their parents would count as your in-laws. There can be a big change in joint finances, in relationships or business. It's going to be about time for tax returns, at least in the U.S., so there could be a big change with your taxes. That can definitely be there. There can be a sudden change in your life, a significant transformation. 8th house is also surgery, so if you know you need a surgery, this could be a good time to get one. But if you're involved in the occult, if you're involved in research, there can be big breakthroughs there for you. That could be a significant change in your sex life during this transit. But it is definitely a good transit if you're, involved in business or if you're in a relationship. Definitely joint finances in either of those do really well during this transit. All right. That's what I have for you, though, Capricorn. Aquarius. All right, Aquarius. So, Aries is your 3rd house. Jupiter's sitting there. Saturn has its 3rd aspect. And then Mars has its 4th aspect. So, 3rd house is your younger siblings. It's your cousins, your neighbors. There can be very significant changes in their lives. It's short distance travel. It's communication of all kinds, including writing. It's media. It's the internet. It's your skills, your self-effort. It's marketing. So there can be big changes if you're involved in media, if you're involved in business, because marketing is usually required for business. Almost always. You could begin writing a novel during this time, or, just becoming a writer in general, that kind of thing. You can learn new skills during this transit. There can be significant short distance travel. But yeah, there can be big changes in your younger siblings and your neighbors, your cousins' lives. You could get new neighbors during this transit. But third house is also the eighth house from the eighth house. So eighth house is sun, ups and downs, and transformation. Third house is the higher form of that, which means it's transformation through your own effort, the transformation you bring about in life. So definitely you can make a big change in your life during this transit. Now, let's talk about Leo. Leo's your seventh house. Jupiter has its fifth aspect there. Saturn has its seventh aspect. And then Mars has its eighth aspect. So seventh house is relationships. It's business partner. It's the masses, all the people you meet out in the world. It's fourth from the fourth house. So it's the house of having a new home or a second home, moving. It's the house of getting a new vehicle or having a second vehicle. It's also 10th from the 10th, which shows it's the higher form of your status. Usually the higher form of career. So, going from working for other people to having your own business. So, there can be big changes in relationships. You could get into a new relationship. You could get engaged or get married. There can be a big change with your business, getting more clients, that kind of thing. There can be significant changes with your business partner. Maybe you get a new business partner. That could be there. You'll have more interactions with other people out in the world. You could get a new home. You could move during this transit. You could get a new car. There can be a big change in your status and your career with this transit as well. Alright, that's what I have for you though, Aquarius. Pisces. The last of the zodiac signs. Alright. So, Aries is your second house. Jupiter's sitting there. Saturn has its third aspect. And then Mars has its fourth aspect. So there will be big changes here. Second house is your family. It's your speech. It's your earnings, your savings. So there can be big changes with your family during this transit. There can be big changes with your finances, with, how much money you're making. That could be there. Hopefully it's not for the negative where your bank account's being drained. I would just say be careful with that. Saturn in your 12th house, can definitely show that. So I would just say be careful. Now, let's talk about Leo, your 6th house. So Jupiter has its 5th aspect there. Saturn has its 7th aspect. And then Mars has its 8th aspect. Alright. So, Leo's your 6th house. 6th house is your maternal aunts and uncles. It's your coworkers. It's your pets. It's your enemies. It's competition. It's your health issues, accidents. It's debt. It's your everyday work, everyday routines. It's service. So there can be big changes with your maternal aunts and uncles. You get a new pet during this transit. There could be debt issues where, you either take on a new debt or you pay off a debt. There can be a significant change with your health. Overcoming health issues could be there, if I didn't already mention that. There could be a big change with your enemies, hopefully overcoming your enemies. There could be a big change with your coworkers. Maybe, you know, some of them quit. Maybe, you know, you get new coworkers. Maybe they just get promoted. That could be there. That could be a big change in your routine. Maybe, you know, you change up your routine. You know, start doing new things. If you're involved in competition, you can, you know, win competition. You know, sixth house is also a house of sports. So if you're involved in, you know, sports competition, this can be a very good transit for you. But all right. So that's what I have for all of you, though, and you know, definitely expect major changes in these houses that I mentioned. Like I said, wherever Aries or Leo sits in your chart, from your ascendant, moon, or sun sign. And if you like my videos, be sure to like and subscribe. Really helps out me in the channel. And if you'd like a Vedic Sidereal birth chart or a personal reading or consultation, links to those will be in the description box in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.